Hello everyone, I do love a bit of Sega Dreamcast. This is the same unit I purchased back in 1999. Its outer shell is slowly going yellow, but it still works and is going strong to this very day. So I thought I could share a game collecting update today for my beloved old console, the official Dreamcast Arcade Stick. I'm pretty sure these released on the same day as the system launch, but this one in particular I bought unboxed and it was selling for quite cheap. Or at least a lot less than I usually see them going for nowadays. It even came bundled with an extra game, which I'll show you in a little bit. I kind of regret not picking up more of these sticks at the time when they were being sold off for next to nothing. I am already familiar with these sticks. I do remember it being a lot of fun playing with Capcom's Techromancer back in the day. Really made it feel like you were piloting a giant mech.
Critical impact!
And using it again for the first time in years, I think it does still hold up. It feels very solidly built. I love the clicky lime green buttons. I'm pretty sure you can get these modded or swap the parts around, but I'm perfectly happy with just the base unit. I've got the Dreamcast set up to the main TV with the Kaiko HDMI adapter here. The last time I checked, these are still pretty affordable and it looks pretty great to me. I do like a bit of Sonic Adventure. These sticks are more optimised towards the system's many fighters, but I wanted to try some of the other games. It's not compatible with every title on the Dreamcast. It might have been an interesting way to play Sonic Adventure, but alas, it's completely unresponsive. There is an up-to-date list of compatible titles on Sega Retro if you're interested. Nowadays there are even other controller options available if you were never a fan of that old Dreamcast control pad. I really ought to try out one of those Retro Fighters controllers sometime. But for today, let's just give the stick a whirl. I have a mix of different region Dreamcast titles, and since I only have a PAL format console, hence the blue swirl on mine, I've always relied on using an unofficial boot disc to load games. The Dreamcast is region locked after all. I know it's probably a pretty outdated way of playing Dreamcast imports now, and yeah, it's a bit of a hassle swapping discs, but hey, this is how I've always done it. So anyway, let's break in my arcade stick with this brand new sealed copy of 2K2 Tennis. It's never been opened. I guess people just don't care about old sports video games, do they? 2K2 Tennis is also known as Virtua Tennis 2 over here in Europe, and Power Smash 2 in Japan. This is another one of those titles that seems to have a different name in each region. I'm sure I could potentially make millions getting this sealed game water graded or whatever, but instead let's do the unintelligent thing and open it up and get it loaded on the old Dreamcast. And you know, it's still a great looking game. The VMU will even show you where the ball is on the court. That's pretty cool, although kind of useless honestly. Playing the game again with the stick almost feels like the arcade experience at home, so let's dim the lights and see if we can set a mood here. Virtua Tennis 2 does still hold up. It's very slick and smooth. Besides these slight load times in the World Tour, it is a surprisingly modern feeling game. I seem to be playing better as old Tim Henman here. I think Virtua Tennis 2 still holds up, even without the stick. You really should give this a try. Super Magnetic Neo, developed by Genki and published by Crave Entertainment in the West, is a pretty solid little title. I really love its strange looking character design, and it is a great looking game for its time. I remember these various squash and stretch animations looking quite impressive. I think it does somewhat fall short of being a true classic due to the high difficulty. Magnetic Neo can only take one hit, and I can never quite wrap my head around its magnetic polarity gimmick. You are able to positively or negatively charge up your main character to attract or repel enemies or platforms and other objects, and I just find it so easy to make mistakes. Look, I'm still making mistakes here as I play. It's a pretty flawed game, but I am still quite fond of it. And it's actually surprisingly comfortable to play with the arcade stick. I did have to reassign the run button, which was assigned to the trigger buttons of the controller, but it does work pretty well. Very impressed with this actually. I wouldn't mind playing through the game again. I did love Cannon Spike. This was the last Dreamcast game I bought at retail, but I have since swapped my copy with a Japanese release, just because the box art looked a bit cooler. This game was so much fun in 2-player mode. It's a decent little shooter starring a selection of iconic Capcom characters, and you'd think Cannon Spike would work great with a stick, but for whatever reason I just can't seem to get quite into it. You even have to assign the buttons from the menu before you start playing. I think I prefer having the lock-on assigned to the Dreamcast trigger buttons. Sadly, I don't really have any other shooter games to try, and they are a bit pricey now on the old Dreamcast these days. Oh well. Gauntlet Legends is another arcade to Dreamcast port. Originally a 1998 sequel to the Gauntlet series from the late 80s, they are fun, albeit mindless hack-and-slash dungeon crawlers, and I absolutely love them. I did play the N64 conversion originally, so I am slightly more nostalgic towards that version, but the Dreamcast release does incorporate several features taken from Gauntlet Legends arcade expansion, Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I did play through the Dreamcast version very recently with a good friend of mine, and I think it still holds up. The Gauntlet games really come to life in multiplayer mode. It would be pretty cool if I could find another 3 sticks and we could get some 4-player Gauntlet going on. Imagine that. And, as to be expected, Mr. Driller feels great to play. A very unique puzzle game where you have to drill through a series of colourful blocks to reach the bottom of the stage, while keeping an eye on your air supply and trying not to get squished. This is another arcade title that received all kinds of ports and spin-offs to the various console hardware at the time. I think I even had a cartridge for my Game Boy Color. As much as I enjoy playing it with the stick, I think the GameCube edition of Mr. Driller still remains my favourite of the series. I think it's even available on the Nintendo Switch now. House of the Dead 2 is a light gun shooter and maybe one of my favourite games on the Dreamcast. It's good cheesy fun. Now sadly I can't use my light gun on my 4K television. I'd have to set up my Dreamcast to the old TV or get my guns modded I suppose. But the stick is fully compatible with this game. It's a surprisingly intense way to play it, although I think I still prefer the light gun. And let's finish up with a few rounds of Cosmic Smash, a very stylish combination of breakout and squash. It is in a sense a very pure video game experience. Lacking any cutscenes and the visuals are kept very minimalistic. It's a lot of fun. I really should try out that new VR version someday, I bet it's amazing. So that's the Dreamcast Arcade Stick. I just thought it might be fun to show off some old hardware. I think it's definitely worth seeking out one of these if you're a Dreamcast owner like myself. It's been pretty fun to use it again. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you've made it this far, thanks ever so much for watching, and hopefully I catch you again next time. Take care.